All right, welcome to episode 3, Intervals, part 1 of the Music Theory Basics series. It's a real mouthful. So we're going to look at what intervals are and why they're important. And it's a huge part of my own playing on guitar. And what they basically are is the distance between two notes. So you got a note here, you got a note there, close one, or they're far away. And they're so simple but so important because they're like the building blocks of all things notes when it comes to pitch. You know, it's more important than just knowing, say, the notes, you know, on your instrument, saying guitar, okay, that's a C, that's a D, knowing different places the D is, that's very helpful. But knowing the sounds and the intervals are like that real building blocks of sounds, to me, is much more important than actually just knowing the notes themselves, the letters. You know, we listen to music. We don't, like, experience it through a bunch of letters or numbers and thinking and stuff. It's about sounds and stuff. So this is, again, core of it. So we have 4 types of intervals. We're going to look at just 3 here. And first off, there are actually 2 categories before we look at the types of labels. And that is harmonic, and that would be notes played at the same time. So 2 notes, same time. Or melodic, one after another. And then within melodic, we have 2 types. You have ascending, so going up from a note, up to the next note, or descending, going back down. So 3 categories, but sort of 2, one with 2 categories. And we can actually, it doesn't have to even be on one instrument that you're playing intervals. It can be about different instruments, different people singing to, going to get like when you have 2 people singing together, harmonizing, they're singing different notes that are, end up being intervals, and that's what the harmonizing is, referring to and stuff. So to look at the first category of labeling, we're going to look at this category called perfect. So perfect intervals. And we have, first off, unison, and that is they labeled with a P1, and it just refers to unison. It's just the same note. So on piano, I actually can't do that. I can only play this. I played it with another piano or at whatever instrument, playing the same exact pitch. That would be unison. So on guitar, you can do that with, say, this right here, an E. If you played an open E and then you played 5th fret on the 2nd string, the B string, that would be exactly the same note. And even though it's the same note, it gives you, a certain sound because you hear those 2 and they're going to interact in a certain way, even though they're the same note. They're not. It's like might be tuned slightly differently. And you can see there's actually more spots. You could even stretch out and maybe reach the other one and play 3 at a time. So that would be the sound of a perfect unison. Then we have perfect 4th, and that is going from C, in the case if we're going from C to F. And again, this is all based on the major scale. Yet again, this is the 3rd one here. We're looking at stuff that's based on the major scale, just the labeling system. So that is called a perfect 4th. Again, we can play it up, can play it back down, play at the same time. Then we have perfect 5th, and that is going, in this case, C to G. And if you go, say the next note, D to A, you're just going up the D major scale, brings you D to A, although it doesn't have to. When you're actually looking at them, it doesn't mean you're in one scale or another. Think of it as like the major scale as a way of figuring out what intervals are, like say between 2 notes, but you could be in a totally different key. It's something that I used to get very confused with when I first learned this stuff. My first teacher that taught me this stuff didn't fully explain it, and I was really young. I was like 13 or something, and I was like too shy to like speak up and ask, and I just tried to figure it out myself, and it took me a long time. But point is, like, if you don't understand something, just ask. Don't be shy. So if you're going from D up to A, it's a perfect 5th. You're going from C up to G, it's a perfect 5th. It's the same exact distance, with those spots, just different starting points and stuff. And also I should say with 5ths, that is why you might see on guitar like a C5. That is just a C and a G. It's called a power chord. Huge in rock, blues, punk, grunge, all kind of music. Just a lot of power chords. It sounds very kind of raw to just have just the root and a 5th, especially low down with some distortion on guitar. So that's a 5th. And then the last one here is an octave. So C up to a C. So perfect octave. So you got perfect unison, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, and a perfect octave. Now the other category is major ones, and that would be a major 2nd, so C to D, then C to E, major 3rd, then we have C to A major 6th, C to B, up to the 7th scale degree from C, a major 7th, And then the last category for now, we're going to look at the fourth category in the next video, intervals part 2, and some other stuff with that as well. But we have the minor ones, and that is minor second, ooh, really harsh one, right? Minor third, minor sixth, minor seventh. And you notice they each have a different sound, and we're going to explore more of that stuff with the sounds and things like that in the next video. So if you want to complete the intro to intervals, check out intervals part 2. I'm going to put it in the link right here on the screen. You can just hit it there, and boom, it's real quick, and you'll be an expert on intervals.